I heard before we were able
Yeah.
to close it down.
We had a Zoom bomb last night at the zoning. Yeah. Trolling.
Something to do with their application.
Yeah.
I think it was intentional for them or just random.
No, I think it was random.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that, yeah, no.
That pole barn was-
Well, you were here for the, yeah. And I can't imagine that couple, the older couple. So, yeah,
If
I
they
think it
do, that's better than I know. I use.
exactly.
So, thank you. I'll try to maybe refer slides to the board meeting every time.
You know who, Don Mauer has great men's socks. Yeah.
You're ready to go.
Clerk, you are co-host as well. When you're ready, Supervisor.
All set.
We are all set.
I would like to welcome everyone assembled here and on our Zoom call to the November 10th, 2021 Rush Town Board meeting. Will you please join in our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the town clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Corbin,
Here.
Here.
Councilperson Wickerham,
Here,
Councilperson Wilbur,
Here.
Supervisor Pusey,
Here. Thank you. I've got a couple of announcements. Tomorrow, probably you all know that this town hall is closed. And it's closed because of Veterans Day. I would like to have a moment of silence in honor of the veterans that we've all known and benefited from their service. And that'll start right now, please. Thank you. I think every time I look at a list of veterans who come from Rush, I'm astounded because the number of veterans is huge. And it takes on everybody who's been in Rush for who knows how many years. So that's, I think, is remarkable. The other thing I want to make you aware of is that the Monroe County Sheriff has a open house on Saturday, November 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. or noon to 4 p.m. That'll be a good event. It's their new facility, and little kids, young people, even old people will benefit by going there, find out more about the service they provide to our community, and it should be for a fun afternoon. I want to mention that the public hearing that was scheduled for the tree ordinance to become a tree city, for us to become a tree city, we postponed, didn't cancel, but postponed because of some, I'll refer to them as technical difficulties in the proposal.
pardon, can you explain that?
No, I
this is-
can't because I'm not a member of the committee who put that together. I was told that was technical difficulties.
But it was a public hearing that we as a board called.
That's because they can't just come in here and present it. They have to get permission from us to schedule a public hearing. they also have their right to say it's wrong the way we wanted to present it. We're going to represent it and have it corrected.
Okay, I'm confused. The public hearing was on the law that we are reviewing. Is there changes to that law?
I do not know that. I haven't been part of that committee. I've got to wait and see, but they're not going to present it till after the first of the year. And between now and then, I think I should be probably privy to that, but I don't have it tonight.
When you become privy to that, would you share that with the rest of us so that if the
Most
law
certainly.
is changing, we need to review that? And I would think that if there's things in the law that the attorney is going to have to also review.
Absolutely. This board and the attorney will know about that when it becomes available.
It just, I'm just concerned that this was a legally published
That committee, I've got
hearing, and we did not notice it as canceled.
I did
Are
not,
we are we concerned about that it wasn't legally canceled?
I am not, should we be, John?
Well, I mean, the public hearing is scheduled for tonight, and it isn't canceled in the legal sense of the word. Now, if the board doesn't open the public hearing, then it's effectively now going to be a nullity, and so the board can proceed
Thank
with
you.
the action.
Okay,
But again, that is a board action, so the board did resolve to schedule the public hearing, so the board, if the board is gonna just not open it, then I think there should at least be something on the record to that effect.
And I think I just stated that on the record, the people putting together the Tree City ordinance thought that it was not appropriate the way they had written it, and they want to reschedule it.
so
I do not know the detail.
So
I'm
we-
confused.
do we have to do a resolution stating that we will not be?
I would probably cancel everything right now. That'd be
Yeah.
my recommendation, because again, the law, there's a local law before this board. So if this
Right.
is not the law that the board wants to proceed with, I would resolve to cancel everything.
Right,
If that's not the law that the board's proceeding with,
I don't think it is.
then
okay.
I would resolve to cancel the public hearing associated with the proposal of the law on the tree ordinance.
Right.
And that the law is effectively going to be tabled until further notice.
Do we need a formal resolution to propose that, or just an announcement?
Or I think
I
a
would
resolution.
resolve to, with it, it sounds like the law just should just be withdrawn from board consideration at this time. Is that what I'm
That's
understanding?
exactly right.
I would pass a resolution just so we know that that law is dead at this point. And then if something is resubmitted, then obviously the board can reintroduce it. We're gonna have to just start the process over.
All
So we
over again.
reintroduce, reschedule a new public hearing and move forward with that. But this one, I think we should just for clarity's sake, have the board resolve to cancel the public hearing and withdraw the proposal of the law.
I move what you just said. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Lane,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wickerham,
Aye.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Tuesday.
Aye. And the last thing I have in announcements is I got a letter from Labella Engineers, who are doing quite a bit of work up at the Rush Henrietta Central School District. They're putting in a new road and some athletic fields, and the determination that they made was there is a negative declaration on the resolution. It's just a notice for us. We'll probably be impacted if we've got kids or activities in that school area, but that's the extent of it. Now, we will have our public comment. Hope people participate. Remember, this public comment is the first comment in the meeting where there will be no two-way dialogue. You can get up, you can make your statement as long as it's civil and diplomatic. Whatever it is, make your statement. There will be no two-way dialogue. You'll have 3 minutes to make it, and we can start right now. Would anybody in this audience like to speak? State your name, address.
Evelyn Schaefer, 6186 Rush Lammer Road. Mr. Williver, would you turn around and look at me, please? I'm sorry I can't call you Councilman Williver, because no councilman would ever say and fabricate a story that you did at the last meeting. Those 6 people that you said signed our petition just to get us off the porch was fabricated, and you know it. I don't know how you could sit in that chair or put your head on a pillow at night and say such a thing. It's false. You know it. You know what our conversation was about that night, and so do 2 of your family members.
We're not gonna get into that
No,
detail.
we're not. I'm just done right now, but I just wanted to tell him that it wasn't true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Jean Morelli on Zoom. Jean, if you would unmute yourself, turn your video on and state your name and address, please.
Hi, Jean Morelli, 535 Five Points Road in Rush. I was just looking over your agenda for tonight, and I see under old business, number 1, resolution to schedule public hearing for the 2022 town preliminary budget. And then under new business, number 1, a resolution to approve shared services agreement for town highway department. And I just confused, but isn't the shared services agreement or whatever is spelled out under that agreement part of the upcoming budget? And if so, why are you going to approve it before the budget is approved? And secondly, I'm hoping, because I haven't seen any of those background numbers that I'm sure you all review, but I'm hoping that the town board is satisfied that the amount that is going to be charged to other towns who are going to be, the reciprocal part of the shared services agreement, that the cost is fully built up in terms of what do you charge for these services? I mean, we have payroll, we have, all in benefits, we have pension costs, and not to mention equipment, trucks, and whatever materials that are built in there. So have you, in fact, analyzed all of the underlying costs in that fee structure? Just asking, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in this audience? Anyone else on Zoom?
Yes. Lori Geisel would like to speak. Lori, please unmute yourself and turn your video on and give us your name and address.
Okay, Lori Geisel, 25 West Rush Road. I just wanted to comment regarding the Moore petition. I was
Lori, could
actually
you
out-
hold up for a minute? Can everybody hear that?
Not as
Not
well
very
as I'd
well.
like.
Is there some way we can get Lori's audio up?
Yeah,
Clerk would need to turn the volume up, or Lori, speak louder.
Okay, I'll try to yell. Is that a little better?
It's a little better.
Okay. This is just regarding the Moore petition. I was actually out speaking with these residents. We were welcomed into homes, sat at kitchen tables. I actually made a few new friends in town after being here for 18 years. I'm thankful to have been out with a longtime resident. And I was actually saddened to hear Councilman Williver say they told me they just want to get rid of whoever is in the yard. You know, I had no indication of that when I was out. I wish whoever shared that with you would have shared that with me when I was there. And I certainly hope that person, those people would have been strong enough to not sign the petition if that's truly how they felt. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Lori. Anyone else?
Not at this time, Supervisor.
Okay, thank you very much. We have no correspondence. Can we have the approval of minutes for October 13th, 2021?
I'll make a motion to approve the town board meeting minutes of October 13th, 2021 as submitted by the town clerk, Pamela Busis.
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Lang,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Wickerham,
Aye.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Tusey,
Aye. Next, we have the approval of minutes from October 21st, 2021.
The budget workshop minutes. I'll move to the budget workshop minutes of October 21st, 2001 as written.
2001,
Oh, 2021.
thank
I
you.
want to go back to 2001, Jerry. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Lang,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wickerham,
Aye.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Tusey,
Aye. It's my turn to say I'm confused about the for tonight because I thought we had one. And then I heard it was being revised.
It's the new one. Yeah.
You've got it. I was just gonna ask you if you had it.
I have it.
I gave a copy to everyone.
Mhm.
You want to do the abstract? You want to do the budget transfer first?
Budget transfer first.
Okay. I so move be resolved that having audited all of the unexpended balances of existing appropriations, I move that transfers number 29 through number 32 in the amount of $1,753.29 be approved.
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Lang,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wickerham,
Aye.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Tusey,
Aye. Now, how about the approval of abstract?
I did have the opportunity to review the abstract, and it was large at first, but we had we had an amount taken out of there for some funds to become available. So I make a motion to having reviewed the abstract numbers, vouchers number 975 through 1025, and excluding number 101. I make a motion to approve the abstract in the amount of $43,148.80.
I'll second that.
Well, before we proceed, what was that 101?
1019 was an amount into the state retirement system in the amount of $132,542. That was asked to be taken out until appropriate funding could be made available and put into the accounts to make sure that the money went through.
So that will require another budget transfer.
Yeah, at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, proceed.
Do I have a second?
I got it.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Lang,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wickerham,
Aye.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Tusey,
Aye. All right, we can move into reports from town board members and department heads, and we will start with the Supervisor Corbin.
Thank you, Supervisor. Update on Tier 3 solar projects. The Forefront Werner project, nothing new at this time. The construction documents are still not complete to the point where a building permit can be applied for. That was shared by Building Inspector Limbeck. Horseshoe Solar has transferred from Article 10 to 94C, which is now under the new office of ORES, which is called the Office of Renewable Energy Siting. Helios is under old business. Update on the EV charging stations, I'll also talk about under old business. I attended the Conservation Board meeting on November 4th to run the technology for their meeting. I attended as an observer the last hour of the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee meeting on Monday on Zoom. And just as an announcement, the Rush Historical Society on November 21st, which I believe is a week from Sunday. I've lost my calendar, sorry. At 2 p.m., there will be a presentation by Todd Allen on the history of the Monroe County Sheriff's Department in the pavilion at 2 o'clock.
Oh, cool.
That's all.
Thank you. How about Councilperson Lang?
Yes. On November 8th, I served as a liaison to the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. They continue to go through establishing and writing their request for proposal. We had a representative from CHA engineering firm out of Albany who our engineer recommended join our program. And he gave a presentation with regard to where our RFP should be headed and approximate cost, the way it was written, and trying to get it in a position where we could submit it to the town board, or they can submit it to the town board for approval, so we can get an engineering firm or a consultant on board. Let's see. Anything else from that? And we did have one representative withdraw his attendance and participation in the Comprehensive Steering Committee. And then on November 9th, I attended the Zoning Board of Appeals. They heard a couple of applications for setbacks. 2 were approved, 1 was tabled. And that's it.
Thank you. Would you say that Mr. Einstein was more of a resource?
He was an excellent resource. It was, unfortunately, they're not in the business of doing comprehensive plan updates any longer, but it was a, it was a good presentation to let us know and get the group, on track and trying to whittle down a decent RFP.
So he had previous experience
Yes.
doing that, but CHA, as they're sometimes called, doesn't do it anymore.
That is correct.
All right, thank you very much. How about Councilperson Wickerham?
I attended the flag retirement ceremony that Troop 7 held at the American Legion last week. That was my first experience with that type of a ceremony, and it was very nice, very moving. Was a little chilly out, but it was, the boys did a nice job. They had troops from both Rush and Henrietta, as well as Girl Scout troops and Cub Scout packs. So it was really nice to see all the scouts participating in a flag retirement ceremony. I had also attended the comp plan meeting, and Mr. Einstein's confirmation that a consultant would be important to, because this comprehensive plan needs to be more of a rewrite than an update, and that the suggested cost we were not far off in what he thought was a reasonable $50,000 to $65,000 range. I also attended the ZBA meeting last night, and like Ryan said, we had 2 side and front setbacks approved, and 1 was tabled for more information. So
I'm curious, what was the difference between the flag burning ceremony the other night versus the one you attended a month ago?
I didn't attend one a month ago.
I thought you reported that you did.
I said I was going to go to one.
Ah, well, I'm sorry, I missed it.
Mhm.
Somebody was whispering in my ear. How about Councilperson Woolliver?
I attended the Conservation Board meeting. They discussed the application and discussed the Moore project. That's it.
Did they
Thank
have
you.
any comments?
Announcement to follow.
Okay.
Thank you very much. How about Town Clerk Busey?
I do have a report, and also Councilman Willover, Julia Liederman is the secretary to the Conservation Board now.
Yes.
Okay. Monthly reports for August, September, and October were submitted. Revenue checks amounting to 29.9837, and funds were also distributed to other agencies amounting in $50.59. Surrender for school taxes is complete as of today. I did request the town board to do a bonding resolution so that I will be able to collect town and county taxes. We do, however, need to get our certificate of liability for 2022 from our insurance agent, and I requested that today. I don't know how far we are in connecting and re-signing with them. Met with Edmonds GovTech, the finance director and the supervisor secretary regarding the finance and abstract needs for a new system. And our RFP for that is being reviewed. We do have an opening, or not an opening, we still do have an opening on Board of Assessment Review. We do not have any applicants. And we also do have a chair with an expiring term, because that is a little bit of off. So it does end October 1st. So we do need to do a resolution for that. And we have in my office, and I think I've talked to Councilwoman Corbin about sharing documents, and we have found an avenue that might be a very good avenue and an easy avenue, but it'll take a little bit of training for all the subboards. So,
Secure documents, confidential type of,
oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question on
Yes.
the school tax.
Mhm.
Do you know what total submission from the town of Rush was?
I think I collected $5,240,000 blah blah blah
Okay,
dollars. So I think the balance that needs to be collected is 220,000. That's a change.
so about $6 million.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
So that we don't come up short for the bar hearing next year, do you have any idea when you would like to advertise for that?
I have advertised a couple times, so
Yeah.
I think we need some brainstorming on how to get somebody else to be interested in that.
Do we have a new newsletter coming out very shortly, don't we?
Mhm.
Can we put an ad in there?
Yeah, I could put an ad in my column.
Okay,
Why not?
okay,
It's a general, what I generally
Right.
do a
Yeah.
couple different times a year, so
Yeah.
I can add that.
okay.
Yes.
To the newsletter. you
It's
might
due,
get
yeah,
somebody-
that was due today, so.
Yeah.
I asked for an additional day.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That might
Thank
work.
you.
Supervisor, are we going to do the resolution that the town clerk is asking us to do now about
I don't believe, Councilwoman Wickerham, we have the liability certificate.
We don't absolutely need that right now.
Oh, I thought that's what I
but
heard
as-
you say.
As long as we have the resolution, those other items you see are to be determined,
Mhm.
will be determined once we do get the contract with them.
Well, given that just appeared tonight, I haven't had a chance to read through it. Is it, I thought I heard that as long as we did it by the end of the month, we would be okay?
It's standard, but it's due the 27th, so by the 23rd.
Of
I've
November.
gotta hop on it and get it in.
right,
We
Oh,
can do
okay.
that.
so can,
So I think doing it tonight, it's just a standard resolution.
What do you think?
Well, I just have not had, it was in a folder when I walked in, and I have not had a chance to look at
well,
it.
it was
If
sent
we
in an
could-
this to us yesterday.
Well, no, this
No,
afternoon I
it
did
was-
send.
Right. The
There's no-
continuation to charge you as the warrant clerk.
Right.
Yeah, there's no.
Right, basically, yeah.
I would like to, if I can just read it at some point, I will by the end of tonight. Too, just,
Okay, all right,
but
Okay.
since
okay.
we're in the
As
middle
long
of
as we get
report,
it-
we're in the middle of reports, I would.
No
Okay.
pressure.
as
No
long as we-
pressure, I'll put it under new business.
All right,
All right.
perfect.
Thank you. Oh, how about attorney for the town, John Mancuso?
No report.
How about Assessor Minio is not with us tonight? I know that Building Inspector John Limbeck is with us tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Again, this is a combined report for myself and Rick Tracy from the Building Department. I did attach the building permit spreadsheet for your review and use. That number of 3 new permits since the last meeting changed to 4 this afternoon. And at this time, I'm happy to report that I've reached my 2021 revenue goal of $15,000. I'm also continuing to close out as many of the remaining 2020 building permits as possible. I've still got 27 open permits. 9 of those are still valid in terms of the dates they were issued. And every day I try to contact some more of the residents to determine what the status of those projects are, and we're closing them. Yes.
John, hold on, somehow you got muted.
Oh,
Come on, John.
You had a phone going off. John, you are still on microphone, so go ahead.
okay. What did you hear
Pam,
last?
something happened with you. I still show him with his,
Hello?
The same thing as the, this one right here, right?
No.
No.
other people at home. Anyone at home, if you could unmute yourself and see if we can hear you, state your name.
Lori Geisel.
Okay, yes, we can hear you, Lori. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Any luck?
Hello?
Yeah, hey.
Okay. What part did you last hear?
When someone's phone started dinging, that's all we heard.
You better start over.
No, you
Okay.
made it to $50,000 in revenue for the year.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
You're hoping, yeah.
I wanted to hear that again. That's why I said start over. That's good.
Okay. I've actually issued 4 permits since our last board meeting. Things are actually slowing down a little bit for the first time. And at this time, I reported I've reached my 2021 revenue goal of $15,000 in building permit fees. I'm also continuing to close out as many of the remaining 2020 building permits as possible. I've got 27 open permits from 2020. 9 of those are still valid in terms of the date of issuance. And I'm trying to contact as many people as I can in the course of a day to determine what the status of their projects are. In a lot of cases, people just forgot to call for the final inspection. So we're getting as many of those closed out as possible. We did institute the use of the new building permit application form after the board approved it at the last meeting. We've actually received our first application using the new form. And I did place an article in the upcoming newsletter about the new form. I worked with the supervisor's secretary to get the new form located on the website and making sure that it can be used. I have a goal there. It's not on my report, but I'm trying to make that a form that can be filled out online so that people don't have to print it out, complete it, and then scan it back to me. So that'll be an upcoming activity. I did place a very brief article in the upcoming newsletter regarding the asbestos awareness and procedures. Speaking with the newsletter editor, it was determined that it might be best to provide all of the asbestos details in the first letter, the first newsletter that goes out in the new year. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Attorney Mancuso and I have determined that Crown Castle needs to appear before the town planning board in order to update their site plan and special use permit for the telecommunications tower that's located behind the town hall. They are installing dish network antennas along with some ancillary equipment on the ground. The footprint of the tower and the ground equipment does not increase. This should be a fairly simple hearing, but it does conform with the code requirements. I appeared in court on Monday afternoon, this past Monday, November 8th, for the West Henrietta Road property, and I feel that the town has an equitable resolution to that situation. Tomorrow, the 11th is a holiday and Friday is my normal day off. I will be attending the NYSERDA Energy Training offsite all day Monday, the 15th. So I will be back in the office next Tuesday, November 16th, and I'll provide a summary report of my NYSERDA training upon my return so people know, what they were presenting and if there's any opportunities for the town. From Rick Tracy for the Code Enforcement, Fire Marshal, and Emergency Preparedness. Rick reported that the employee referenced in the 10/27/21 email tested negative for COVID-19 on 10/29/21 and returned to work on 11/1/2021. Anyone interested in receiving the COVID-19 booster shot should visit the website for www.monroecounty.gov. And he said on the main page, you click on vaccine appointments and info and follow the instructions from there. Rick was able to easily schedule an appointment, and when he went for the shot, it was extremely easy. Took 35 to 40 minutes, including the mandatory 15-minute period following the administration of the vaccine. Rick did receive information in writing that had been given verbally for the property on West Rush Road, and he's hopeful that things will progress very soon. And finally, Rick stated that he will be out of state attending a public safety conference from 11/10 through 11/14. He'll be back early afternoon on the 14th. He's also going to be on a long planned family vacation from 11/17 through 12/5. I will be covering for Rick during that time, and giving the amount of time that he's going to be gone, he doesn't anticipate having a report for the next meeting, and he wishes everyone a nice Thanksgiving. So that's the end of our combined report. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer those at this time.
Thank you, John. I really
you.
appreciate it. And for those who don't know, the credentials presented by the state are in possession of both Rick and John. So they interface with jobs very easily. They both know as much as the other one. You think Rick would like that, John?
I think very much so.
Okay.
Although he does have the edge on fire marshal stuff on me, so, but.
Oh, I knew that, but
Okay, thank you.
thank you. When I talked with her 2 hours ago, Christine was having some audio problems, so I don't know. Christine, are you with us?
I do not see her on.
Yeah, she had problems. Art David gave me his report, but I will save it for the new business part so that I can explain to Ms. Morelli what's going on with the resolution to approve shared services for the highway department. Is historian Sue Me with us?
Yes. I'm here.
You're on.
Yep, okay. I would just like to make an update since tomorrow is Veterans Day. I've recently discovered through some research that we are missing a Civil War veteran that should be on those plaques. So he's on my list now for the next time we update. That person is Captain Perry Benjamin Sibley. He was the lieutenant of the New York 140th Company G, which was under Patrick O'Rourke, well-known officer from Rochester. He's also the grandson of another Revolutionary War veteran, Captain L. Nathan Perry. So I feel terrible that we didn't ever have him on a previous list, but he is acknowledged and will be added in the future. I was also going to mention, and I thank Amber for doing so already, a reminder of the presentation that will take place on November 21st, 2:00 in the afternoon by Todd Allen. He's the historian for the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, and he'll be presenting history on the past 200 years of the Sheriff's Department. So my office and the Historical Society are co-sponsoring that event. And then on December 4th, just as a reminder, we will be resuming our annual tree lighting ceremony. We'll have the RH singers leading us in caroling. That will take place on the 4th at 6:30. And the plan is to safely offer refreshments, light refreshments in the pavilion following that ceremony. Other than that, I've just been doing more research on the Sibley, Perry, and Leidy families, working with family researchers that are exploring their genealogies and comparing their notes and adding to their information with what we already have in our history office. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Does Kirsten Flass have a report?
Library director reports that everything is good in the library.
That's a good
That
report.
is a good report.
And our recreation supervisor, Pat Stevens, said everything is good in recreation. Enrollments are up, which is a good thing. And they're full steam ahead. We can now move on to old business. And first is the resolution to schedule a public hearing for the 2022 town preliminary budget. Would anyone like to comment on the town preliminary budget?
Who's gonna go first?
I'm not sure if any of the changes were made that we had discussed. I know you had dug up some answers on some things, but I don't know if some of the other issues or changes were made. You know, and this preliminary budget as it's presented, is this the one we're going to be voting on, or are we going to be making any additional changes? I have no problem getting a public hearing scheduled, but if it's a public hearing pertaining to that particular budget, then
Yeah.
the budget tweaks, I don't think are complete.
Yeah, there's not, I didn't notice in the preliminary budget that we've added in any type of allotment for the comprehensive plan committee. And I also don't have the question as to how the finance director's position ended up with over $8,000 worth of increase without an explanation. And when I go back through the minutes of the appointment of a finance director back in February, the salary that was given at that time is $2,400 less than what it says in the current budget that they were receiving. So I'm a little confused as to how we went from 26 to 28 within the year, because this is what we approved. And but then I'm also wondering if we're not going to be adding another job title, because that the finance director is already doing the human resources things that are going to be the payroll, the benefits, the compliance. Why is it that we need to add another 8,000 to that?
Did you want to hop on that?
No, I'm curious too. I'm curious too.
Okay, that's good enough. That's hopping on. I don't know where to start. You've got me so confused, Phyllis, but I'll try. First of all, budgets aren't set for a person. Budgets are set for a position.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
I've tried to explain that before.
Yep. And we understand that.
Okay, so let's deal with the $8,000 because that's a sizable amount of money.
Mhm.
The budget director has continuously worked more than allotted hours for that position. And we see that happening again because we are going to purchase new financial software. The financial software is too old, it's not up to date, and it doesn't make it easy for that person to track the finances of the town. So that amount of spending on income for that person is going up because of the $20,000 software expenditure that we're gonna have. It's unfair to ask that person to, you look confused.
I am confused.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, because you're saying that the $20,000 is for the software,
Yes,
but it's under personnel service, which is payroll. Software would go under contractual, which you've already increased $14,000 from last year.
well, that might be a misprint. I don't know.
But
But
that,
I'm verbalizing
okay,
it. The $20,000 is a new figure for software after we looked into it. And let's go back to what you said originally for the $8,000. That is to compensate the current job holder to cover for what's going to be added hours needed to get that software up to speed.
so
As a finance, under the position of finance director, not the budget director, but under the position of finance
Finance
director.
director.
Finance director,
Because-
but that will include the budget because it will track the budget.
but
But this year, that was your position, the budget director.
Say that
Your
again?
position was the budget director this year, because I recall in February saying, I am the budget director. Not me personally, but you.
Yeah, I know what you're
Okay.
saying. I know, I agree. I said that because
Okay.
I said that because I got resistance.
Well, we let
About-
somebody go, or someone left because we didn't give that position
That
to.
has nothing to do with that.
okay.
Has
But
nothing to do with
It
that.
still doesn't explain how an approved salary went from one amount to another amount that did not get approved.
What did not get approved?
Well, you, in the budget, the salary for that particular position, as stated by this preliminary budget, says 28,926. When,
That's an individual salary. That's a step in the rate range.
so you're saying that the person that we're not paying the current finance director, the 28,926.
That won't happen until,
No, that was last year. That was 2021. That was 2021.
do you have that
I-
chart I sent you? Not this one.
What chart?
I sent all of you a chart yesterday or the day before. That's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
That was the 21 pay. There's the proposed 22 pay. That's a 6% increase. That's
here,
pretty conservative.
no, this is what I'm saying. This was the 21 pay, that's what I'm saying,
Yep,
but we only approved 26 for 21. So I'm confused.
well, now I am also
All right.
because I don't know if that's a typo or,
But
what?
we're basing the increase for 22 on the 21 number. I'm still having a hard time understanding how an $8,000 raise, you're gonna be compensating for her overtime. So we're planning the overtime.
the standard, close to standard method of dealing with this is the finance director is also the budget officer.
Well, and that has been corrected for this particular,
And what
coming up in
figure are you
22.
looking at there?
I'm looking at you've taken the budget directors and consolidated that in here. So if I'm taking that correctly, I've got and I'll go with the number that's on the paper here, 28,926 plus the 48,990 equals 33,816. But what's being proposed in this budget is 41,811. That still is an $8,000 increase. So what you're saying is the finance director's position, we're supposed to anticipate that she will be working $8,000 worth of overtime over the course of 2022.
She's already been working $8,000 worth of overtime because you did not want to give her additional training by her predecessor. And every week I find out one more
Well,
item
and it
that she
wasn't-
hasn't been trained
But
on.
it wasn't me who decided not to
You
have her
participated.
trained. No, but we also could not get that training based on his requirements.
Not true. Not when it was initially denied. He can.
But anyways.
He agreed
anyways,
to continue. No, you deserve an
Yeah,
answer.
no,
I want to give you an
she's not
answer.
properly
He
trained.
agreed to continue with that training, but the problem became when he was forced to quit that training and then was asked at a later date to restart it.
We were not asked
I know you
prior
weren't.
to just
didn't
a
say you
month or
were.
so
Part
ago.
of the
I
denial,
asked him if he would.
Right,
if I recall, part of the denial on that was some of his stipulations about being
Because-
insured and
right.
several.
All
other-
exactly,
true, all
yeah.
true.
Okay,
So
so
that
it's
has nothing to
It's a
do,
total of a
Right.
lot of things,
All
not just
true.
the fact that
but
we just
here's
said
the
no.
question.
You can't have
I
more
can't
training.
hear two talking at once.
Here's the question. You have given us a preliminary budget
Yes,
that has some discrepancies in it.
yes.
And we're being asked tonight.
No, you're
to
not being asked.
have-
You're being asked to schedule the public hearing.
But we can't.
On a budget
On a
that's- we don't
budget that
agree
we
with.
don't agree with.
Then
So
I-
we can't have a public hearing because this will be the document that we're voting on, or we're putting a resolution out there on.
If you don't want to agree to this, with my assurance that I will get back to you to find out if this is a typo or what
But-
it is,
But we
I'd be
had
more than
several,
happy to.
we had several other questions.
You don't
that
have to approve it,
that
but
you
go
gave
ahead
us
with your other
assurances-
questions.
That you gave us assurances you would get back to us on, and
I did all of
Yeah.
those.
The memo
I-
that we received.
I-
But,
The
yeah,
memo you received, plus I sat here 2 weeks ago and told you all of the changes that were made.
So
I-
as far as, if this were the only issue,
which it's not, so.
no, let me just clarify if I can finish. In my listening to Attorney Mancuso in the past, if they are small changes, we can still schedule a public hearing.
Yeah, correct.
That is what you have said in the past, if they were small changes.
With respect to the budget, in order to have it be the official preliminary budget that is set for the public hearing, it needs to be the document.
Mhm.
So we have one more meeting that we can still schedule a public hearing in accordance with the town law for the county of Monroe. So my recommendation is we fix if there are discrepancies and the board believes there are changes that need to be made, I would suggest we make those changes, and at the next meeting, we schedule for this would be the first December meeting,
Yeah,
and we will still be timed.
right.
We can still have the public hearing the first meeting in December.
We don't have a time crunch. Unless,
That's the
unless of
last meeting.
course,
We will if we do not
We
have
will.
it
Right,
then we will have.
all
Yeah.
true, but you know
Yeah.
what's curious to me? You had that information right after the last meeting. And I haven't heard a thing from anybody until today. Isn't
We've
that strange?
No, we've asked for weeks. We asked
You
about,
have not connected with my email to ask me anything. Not regarding this issue.
we asked you to put in an allotment for the comp plan. That change wasn't made, and it was not
I
explained.
cannot put in an allotment for something that runs from 50 to over $100,000. I listened to the recording of that
But,
committee last night.
right, and the committee
What
asked
do I
for
put
a
in?
specific
Again,
amount.
40, 60, 100?
No, the committee asked for a specific amount, and it is just an allotment. It doesn't mean they will spend all of it, and they can only spend up to that much.
I
It is-
understand that.
And it's very similar to any other budget item that you put in here for, like, personnel services. You say that it's 28,926, but she might not be getting paid that much. It's an allotment, it's carved out. And
All
when
true.
we have, and when we have $1,300,000 in fund balance left over at the end of, that is what the appropriations are going to be. 1,334,000 would be in the fund balance. Why can't we take $65,000 out of that fund balance and put it in a line item for the comprehensive plan committee consultant? You've done that with the finance directors. You put an allotment for, well, it says 10,000 for EAP and then another 14,000 for software increase. So I guess my question is, when we can make allotments like that, why can't we do the same thing?
I would like to tell you why I'm hesitant to do that, because Councilperson Lang gave me a guesstimate about a month ago, maybe a little longer, in a letter. It said 65 to 80. I listened to the tape of the meeting last night, and they were talking over 100. What do I make it?
So why don't we at least put one allotment? Let's pick a number, 65 or
I
80.
don't want to pick a number because it's not my project.
But it is.
It is not for this part of it. It is something that I will own when it's done. But I'm not going to get in there and bird dog that committee and tell them, well, you're going to get 40 or you're going to get 60. I hear a range of numbers. I don't know what to put in.
They put in a request.
They put in a request for 65 to 80,000. So if we don't want to give them 80, let's give them 65.
Does the board agree with that?
I'm just trying to.
There should be
find out.
something set aside.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We're moving ahead with the comprehensive plan. We should have the money to do it.
There's no
Otherwise,
doubt
it's just
about
gonna-
that.
It's just gonna linger like it has
For
for
20 years. And we have $1.3 million available to make allotments out of.
All true.
Brian, do you remember the date that Donna sent that? I'm trying to find it, see if I get it somewhere, just so if there was an exact number, we can use that.
Well, I think right now we've
think
got
it
a
was-
proposal to make it 65, which I'm not opposed to. But I don't want to have somebody say, why did you only make it 65? We were
Well-
talking over 100.
Well, and your answer could be is that because we did not have a specific amount, we figure we would start with this. And if there is need for more, we can revisit that request, seeing that we'll have still $1.3 million left over.
I will, that has nothing to do with it. I will put in a $65,000 bucket for the comprehensive plan.
Okay, and that would go under,
So I'll start
Town
looking
board?
for it.
would that go under
It
town?
was 65 to 80, I think.
Yeah.
The memo where.
That's right, it was a range, it wasn't an
Yeah.
exact amount.
Well, but if
Well,
we
we're
put
going for an
in,
exact.
No,
amount.
no, that's what you're asking for, Supervisor. That's what we were trying to find, if what exactly that said to support whichever side people are talking, so.
Yeah.
It's-
so we'll put that under contractual, under town board, because it is a town board committee.
Works for me.
All right, so add another 65,000 to that one. And you're gonna get answers about why we went from
I'm
26
gonna
to
figure if
8
that
to
is a typo
41.
or if that is something that I've forgotten.
And can, in this one, in the tentative budget you had under the contractual for the finance director, it did spell out that it included 10,000 for EAP.
But that's tentative, that's not, we're on the
Well,
preliminary,
no,
don't even look at the
No,
tentative.
but that's, no, what I'm saying is, it was verbalized here. I would like to see that also verbalized here as
In your mark.
earmark 10,000 for EAP consultant.
That is exactly what it's for.
Right, but let's specify
I will
that
make-
in the comments.
I will make you happy and put that in there.
That way we know what it's for in the comments when people are looking at the,
Okay,
what else did we? And you did answer that there were no legal fees additional for the assessor that was included in his
Yep, that was,
contractual
Yeah.
stuff.
that was stated
Okay.
a while ago.
Did we include the town clerk's office furniture budget?
The town clerk's budget is what?
Yep, we
whatever
did.
she
Thank
had
you.
submitted,
That got updated.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that that was my
the
biggest.
town clerk is shaking her head
Yeah.
no.
I didn't see a different thing from the preliminary. The
There's,
one that you discussed at the meeting did not have it in it.
right, and it got, what, I lost it.
But, okay,
It did get put here in the preliminary,
Okay.
so it did get put in.
I thought we put that in there.
it is there.
It is there, it is there.
It is there.
I'm gonna
That's why
give
I'm
that
not
to you,
quite
so
sure
you have
why.
reference to what I was
Bill,
talking about.
Councilwoman Wickerham, are you trying to just state that the questions, Councilwoman Wickerham, of your, that they are there? That's what you're trying to?
Well, there were a
out.
couple that weren't, so I'm just.
No, that's
verifying.
my
Yes,
question about the
Yes.
chairs.
Yes, it is there.
Town clerk is okay with that then? Okay.
My question about the budget and finance, the person,
Mhm.
you're saying she's working, it's a part-time position and she's working a lot more hours than allotted. We're not gonna get in trouble with
Oh.
full-time, part-time status and benefits.
Dan, that's a really good point. If she's working more than 20 hours, we are going to, how are we going to account for that?
I've had one discussion with the civil service people. Civil service people are coming to the supervisors meeting next week. And I plan on making sure that their answers are stated in public.
Okay,
I'm
I
told-
just don't wanna get caught doing something we shouldn't. be
I'll
doing.
go to the Gray Bar Hotel if that's required, but I don't think it'll happen.
Okay, just curious.
The other. Where was that one? Code enforcement. Code enforcement was another question that we had. There had been a request for an increase there,
Yes,
but where is it?
probably under building.
No, that,
No,
No.
it's.
They're lumped
And it
together.
went from,
It's in an odd spot.
it was, it should be.
I had a hard time finding, it's like in between other things.
Safety is the building inspector, highway.
Do you
garage,
remember your question about
My
it?
question was, he had requested something that did not get into, and it's still not here. Oh, there it is.
We
Yeah,
had a-
it's
we
still
had-
not there.
Right,
And I still am questioning why the request for the increase is not there.
It is in contractual.
No, that was for the computer and the printer.
Right.
That is, I'm talking salary.
you're talking about salary.
I'm talking about salary.
All right. The reason you don't see an increase there is because I have heard from one board member a concern about the inability of him to produce reports, the inability to see evidence of his job performance in the community. I think I told you this before. Go right across the street. I had to ask him 5 times to go over there. 5 times. Maybe I should put the pay down for me. Because I had to ask him 5 times to go over there. That's not the only one. Other members of this board have asked him several times to look into certain things. He hasn't done it. I've asked him since the beginning of this year to file a report. He hasn't done it. What do you want me to do? Pay for lack of performance?
Well,
Supervisor, if
This
we're
is a
gonna talk
personnel
about
issue.
Personnel matter, I would suggest we go into executive.
And
I
maybe we-
appreciate it. I didn't bring it up.
well, I'm just asking why the increase wasn't done. So We can.
We talked
retire-
about that
We can
before.
retire into executive session
We talked
to
about
talk
that
about this.
before.
to talk about this, because I have some personnel questions about this then.
Okay,
So I would like to move into executive session to discuss
Do that right now.
personnel. Because if we're gonna put this on a resolution we're not, are we holding off on setting a public hearing?
We already had that
Yeah, we're gonna hold
discussion.
that off.
All right,
Attorney Mancuso
okay,
already-
then we'll do it after, because that's a discussion we definitely need to have. Okay. And then we can finish afterwards with whether that's appropriate or not.
are you done?
For now,
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Let's move on to the Helios Solar Energy status update. Are you tuned into that, Deputy Supervisor?
I am not, in the sense of Todd, Town Engineer Todd Yule submitted his report on 11/3 on what Helios had submitted to the town, and Helios Engineer. The Helios Engineer today emailed, I believe at 11:18, his replies with the comments to the town engineer's report. I don't know if Attorney Mancuso has had a chance to review it, but I have not had a chance to I wouldn't even ask Todd Yule to review that before tonight's meeting if it just was sent out at 11:18.
Can't do it.
And I have not had an opportunity to review the material.
All right, so we'll pass on that item of old business. And I will get a hold of Joe Hens and Chandra and Todd Yule
And Attorney Mancuso.
and Attorney Mancuso
for what purpose?
to get them together on what they need and what they can report on to go forward.
Well, they've submitted something. It was,
That's what
Yeah,
didn't
what
come
we got
until
today,
11
so-
o'clock, but our town engineer has not had a chance to look it over.
Hi, yeah, I can jump in too. This is Joe Hens with Ingalls and Associates, if you don't mind. Yeah, I supplied hey, good evening. I supplied a draft
Joe.
response.
Oh, hang on, it's Councilwoman Corbin.
Okay.
Just so you know, no problem listening to you tonight. It's just that the town engineer has not, we have not had a chance to share a discussion with him, or Attorney Mancuso has as well. So I will turn it back over to the supervisor.
Very
Yep,
difficult.
understood.
Joe. Very difficult, Joe, to react to submittals that come in the day of the meeting or the day before the meeting. Some of these submittals are pretty complicated, and it takes time to read through them and decipher them. That's the issue here.
Understood. That was really just a discussion piece for tonight, if we wanted to go through the comments, or if we'd like to wait for a formal resubmission in response to the comments from Todd. You know, we weren't anticipating you to have time to go through all of those comments with tonight's submission. So
I would like to give the town engineer the opportunity to look at the documentation before we discuss it.
okay,
And before we have you add to it.
understood.
Thank you.
I have while you're having that conversation with the engineer and the attorney, what I got today, several of the answers note that what was being asked was submitted to the town back in August. And based on a letter that the engineer wrote in May, I have those documents that came to us in September.
I
So
do
I guess
also.
my question would be for the engineer, is if things that were submitted to us before September are referenced in this draft, has he had a chance to review those, and what were the changes in the November 3rd letter from the May 8th letter?
I would like the town engineer to have the opportunity to read that
Right.
so that he can be a participant in the response for the board's pleasure.
Well, okay, so will he be at the next meeting then, our engineer?
You can ask him to do.
I cannot predict because I've got to give him the opportunity. He might have other things going on. He's not here tonight because he's in Albany or New York City or someplace.
But if we have questions, should we just direct them to him directly then?
No, I will invite him to the next meeting. If he tells me he can't make it to the next meeting, you will know.
And then can I ask him directly?
At the next meeting?
No, if he's not able to attend.
No, I would like those answers to be heard by everyone,
Well, yeah,
not just you and him, by everyone.
okay.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Now, we're going to go to number 3 under old business, the Moore proposal update.
Somebody just left.
And the board request for information. I'll start it off by saying that I got a letter authored by our attorney for the town yesterday afternoon, late. And I got to thinking about that and I said, you know, the results of that letter, those things that you cited on the letter, shouldn't they be the results of a board discussion? Why would the attorney exclusively respond with those answers?
The board, with the last meeting, the board had asked me to do that letter. Because I had asked whether the
Right.
board wished to author or provide feedback
Right.
on particular items, and I was directed to instead prepare the letter for the board for your signature, I believe, to
Right.
send to the
All true.
applicant as to the information that I gleaned from the part 1 of the full environmental assessment form. So I went through the form and I identified, as I typically would do for the solar project, for example, items that I believe would be standard information that an engineer would be able to provide the town as lead agency. And so that really is the content of it. If the board has additions, of course, that can be supplemented.
Well,
It's
we did not get a copy
not
of that.
Not an exclusive.
We have not
We
seen
have
the
not
letter,
seen that.
Yeah, I provided it to the supervisor, and so I leave it in.
but not till late yesterday.
Yes.
So therefore, I wouldn't have had a chance to review it. Because I also have questions on the short EAF form.
So can we get a copy of that, Jerry?
You most certainly can, now
Okay.
that it's been exposed. I will mail it out tomorrow. No, it won't be tomorrow. I'll get it mailed out Friday.
Okay. So we don't have any, we can't move forward until we get the questions that we asked to be done 2 weeks ago.
Questions you asked to be done 2 weeks ago, which I got the answers to late yesterday afternoon.
I mean,
Correct.
if the board wishes for me to walk through the subject matter, I'm happy to summarize it. It's a couple of pages, but
Well,
there's general subject matter.
I
I'm
prefer
happy
to be able to read it first and then draw, because I went through the short EAF form and wrote down things,
Right.
and I had questions on it, and if you already addressed them, then, or if I have ones that maybe
In
you
addition.
didn't, then possibly I'm not interpreting it right, or,
Well, some of us have not even seen the letter, and I
Right.
think some of you have.
None of
so-
you have seen. it.
no, none of us have,
But
but
you all, yeah, so it'd just be helpful to know
Yeah.
what the content of that letter is. I would appreciate it.
Right.
I will get it mailed to you.
All right.
Friday.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
To the
No,
applicant.
mailed to us so we
Town
can
board.
review it,
Mailed to the board members,
but
but,
I was gonna say that, nothing, never mind.
okay, thank
Never
you.
mind. Okay.
Do we have an electric vehicle charge station update?
I was hoping that I would have more to share with everyone as well as the board. However, I can just give a verbal update at this point. I did share with all of you 2 weeks ago from Jacob LLC out of Victor. He did come back on Friday, 5 days ago. He asked for a copy of our electric bill for just the town hall, because in order to get funding through the RG&E National Grid, so it's 100% covered, they have to look at our electric usage and put it into some formula. He thought that he would have it to me by Monday, but of course, he doesn't. So he hopes to hear something by tomorrow, was his email to me this morning. If not, he will call the National Grid representative to find out what the holdup is, because we don't want to lose out on this funding potentially like we did on the other.
So he was going to National Grid directly to get our usage.
No, the supervisor secretary printed a bill, a monthly bill.
Yeah.
And it was a really high one because it was, I think, August or September when AC was cranking like crazy. The
Okay.
overall utility electric bill was like 4,000,
Okay.
but just this building, I think, was like 1,200, a little over 1,200.
Okay.
He has to take that document that has a lot of information that I'm not familiar with, send that to the National Grid representative that deals with all this grants from New York State, plug it into something, generate a funding letter to show, because we want to make sure we are 100% covered if we want to go forward. Zero tax dollars for this.
Yeah.
And he thought he would have it something from the rep by 3 days ago. He does not. So hopefully he says by tomorrow, but he will keep pushing.
Okay.
And his company is what they call a turnkey. The previous company we had in town, it still is using power charge materials. So we're using a resident or local vendor. But this Victor company, they buy it from Power Charge, but it's from start to finish. He doesn't have to worry about hiring different people. Any questions on that? I went long-winded, sorry.
No, that's okay, because it's very complicated how many hands the product
Yeah.
passes through to get into our property.
I still have a concern with the number of, 4 dual stations, which means 8 ports. Seems excessive for this little town. I wonder why we don't get a quote for 2 charging stations at 4 plugs, because I just think that putting 8 of them out there is going to be a waste of NYSERDA money.
I think that's how the funding works, though.
It is.
But
You have to, they won't pay to put in 2, but they'll pay to put in 8.
But will,
Can we entertain putting them in two locations?
yeah, I mean,
Sure.
because.
Put it in where?
Two different
No,
locations.
no, because the installation.
Wiring them is gonna be a lot more costly if it's in 2 different locations.
So they would rather
This is New
overkill.
York State, not
Absolutely.
anyone else. This is New York State.
Is part of their, well, you don't know what the part of their evaluation is on whether the usage or the anticipated usage, they don't calculate that into their approval of.
That will be reported once the equipment is installed.
Well, but,
New York State requires a monthly for 1 year.
right,
To go from the charging to wherever,
Right.
Albany, to collect data.
right. But in the application process, there isn't a formula for,
We don't have any baseline.
right?
With the big push towards electric vehicles, I think they're probably anticipating it will get used.
In our town.
No, it's not just our
Yeah,
town.
really.
It is, we've
Okay.
got 390 right there.
Yeah, well,
My
with nowhere for anybody
non-scientific
to go where they're sitting there.
opinion about this is, as I've said before, you've heard me say it at least twice. I drive an electric. 5 years ago when I bought it, if I saw one a month, that was a lot. Now I see 7 to 10 a week going right by here. They're around and it's gonna grow. That's the prediction.
And we've had 2 quotes. I didn't give
Right.
them, say we want
Right.
4 with dual, whatever.
Yeah, right.
As Councilman Wolliver said, obviously he knows more than I do, that it's what the state tells you. They will pay the 100% coverage.
That's what we want to get.
Yeah.
Whether it's whatever, no matter how many stations, it's gonna come without taxpayer expense. And we can set it up to charging, which isn't a bad deal. Anything else?
Not on that. That is all, sir.
All right. We'll now move on to the new business, a resolution to approve a shared services agreement for the town highway department. Pam, did you prepare that?
I've not even seen it.
Okay,
Um,
let
yeah,
me,
do we have this shared service agreement so we can review it?
I have not seen the shared service agreement, but I will tell you about it. You're thinking, how can he tell us about it when he hasn't seen it? Well, I'm representing Mark David, the highway superintendent, who told me about it. And the deal is that different towns along the Greenway, because the Greenway hasn't been maintained in a number of years, different towns along the Greenway are going to contribute to their section of that Greenway, keeping it maintained, keeping the growth back to make it a more pleasurable walk for people.
We're not talking about the Lehigh Trail. We're talking about the greenway that goes,
We're talking about the Lehigh Trail. We're talking about the piece that goes into Henrietta. We're talking about the piece that comes from Mendon to
I thought the
Scottsville.
Mendon Foundation was responsible for maintaining that.
They don't any longer. They will maintain their part.
That I talked to the
Yeah,
executive director of the Mendon Foundation just a month or so ago, asking questions about, somebody said something had fallen. And he did not indicate that they were giving that up. It is part of the Monroe County Parks agreement with the
Then
Mendon
we will
Foundation.
not have a
they don't.
resolution. It's a big joke.
No, they don't tend to the rush section.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I
They're
remember
required to.
Selden Chase getting on his tractor and
Yeah.
cutting all the
Which they're
area.
required to as part of their contract with the county.
And I remember Kyle Stevens
Kyle
maintained a
Stevens.
large section of it here in Rush.
All right, so what?
I
is
am
being
going to get
proposed-
with Mark.
Yeah.
Get any hard copy he has available,
Because,
share it with the board,
yeah, I can't.
and find out why the Mendon Foundation said to you that they were gonna continue to maintain it.
Yeah.
Because that's not part of the overall plan. The overall plan is to maintain shared services throughout the county wherever possible.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep, so we're not doing that tonight.
we're not
We
gonna
haven't
do
read
it
it.
tonight
Okay.
because you don't have the information. I didn't intend to pass a resolution tonight. Because maintenance on the trail this year is coming to a quick end. But I think before you do vote to participate, you should have all the details. And not be told that somebody else is gonna do it and us too. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay? We can move on to the second public.
Oh, we were going to add
The
the
town
resolution
clerk's
to
resolution.
under new business.
Town clerk, while
Oh, that's
we're
right.
looking
Yep.
at this, can I ask? For some reason, this sounds familiar from last year, and I may have asked the same question. Under insurance company, Walsh, Duffield Companies, A to be determined, B to be determined, is Is that always been that way? Do you remember me asking this last year?
It's always determined when we sign the contract and what they collect. Forbid, it's been selective
Okay,
in the past couple of years, but I don't know what it is now.
okay.
This is something obviously that we can't. You need a certificate, a warrant to collect taxes,
Yes, I need a warrant. but
certificate of liability.
But if you pass the resolution, you can get the certificate and I can submit everything to the county so we can get a warrant.
Is the board comfortable with doing that?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to read, Ms. Corbin, because you
Certainly.
handed me the copy?
No, actually, Councilman Wolver did.
Oh,
I was reading it because I said I needed to read it first, which I have.
okay, well, I can read if you prefer.
Go right ahead.
It's up to you.
Go right ahead, Supervisor.
Supervisor Cusey moved that the town board of the town of Rush hereby approves for the surety form and amount of the official undertaking for the faithful performance of the duties of the town clerk, collector, deputy town clerk, and finance director as field
Fine. It should be.
filed.
It does say.
It is,
It
it
does-
says
it does-
field.
It does say.
It's
field.
filed in the town clerk's office. The type of undertaking is a public official liability, employee dishonesty, computer fraud, funds transfer fraud.
I'll
the-
second that.
I
Do we have to-
I
no, we
wanna,
have to
I
do
wanna
the-
read
do
the
rest.
amounts.
Okay, all right.
The insurance company will be carried, the insurance will be carried by the Walsh Duffield Company, who we already do business with, we have for many years. The amount will be $250,000 for the town clerk and the tax collector, $250,000 for the deputy town clerk and deputy tax collector, and $250,000 for the finance director. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Lang,
Aye.
Councilwoman Whittingham,
Aye.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey.
Aye, and I owe you document.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor, before we move on to reminders and public comment, did we want to entertain a resolution about the 94C topic?
Yes. We should do that. Thank you for reminding me.
I so move to amend, oh, go ahead, sir.
Do you want to give the audience an explanation?
Mhm.
Certainly, sorry about that, everyone. Under my report, I shared with everyone about Horseshoe Solar going from Article 10 to 94C. That officially ended, and everyone help me, October 29th.
29th, yep.
So that Article 10, they have now transferred to what's called 94C, which is under the Office of Renewable Energy Siting. So in order to continue with the process and be entered as a party under Article 10, the Town of Rush, Residents United, we were a joint party. It's an automatic. And then we hired attorney Gary Abraham to file an application for intervenor funding as joint with Residents United and the town. And we were very fortunate out of the 180,000 to be awarded $100,000. With the switching from, and if I'm, make sure I'm getting it all right, switching from Article 10 to 94C as of October 29. Any unused portion of that $100,000 has to be returned to the state. The state then returns it to Invenergy, which is the parent company of Horseshoe Solar. Under 94C, we are not a party anymore. No one is automatically given party status. So to apply for party status, an application has to be filled out, and under 94C, intervenor funds, there's another pot of 180,000, because it's 180 megawatt installation for those that have been accepted as party status. by the ORAS office would then be awarded a certain amount of money so that the town or whomever can utilize that money to go through the process of whatever project they are working on. Obviously, we are looking at Horseshoe Solar. So we, as a board, will have a discussion as to amending our contract with Attorney Gary Abraham from Article 10 to 94C. And then at no cost to the town, he has offered to fill out the application for party status, which again is not a guarantee, but if we want to be able to represent the citizens of Rush and be able to have a conversation through the process, this is the only way we have that opportunity to do that. If we don't apply for party status, then we are not able to participate as it goes through the 94C process, which is a year-long process. If I'm saying any of that right or wrong.
Spot on.
And then hopefully be awarded party status, get intervener funds, and again, no taxpayer dollars are utilized in having skin in the game, to be able to be part of those discussions, to be able to say, okay, you know, we're okay with that, but we're not okay with that, or let's talk about it. I honestly, 94C is new. But if we don't get party status, we don't get any of that opportunity to even have those discussions. So in our discussions, if I have explained that well enough, I would like to move to amend our contract with Attorney Gary Abraham from Article 10 to 94C as our joint venture with Residents United in the town, and allow him to apply for party status and intervener funds
At no cost.
at no cost to the town. Correct. Thank you, Councilman Willimer. Do I have a second?
Can we talk about this?
Oh, yeah. You have to have a second, I think, to talk about it.
Second, then you can deliberate.
I'll second that. I wasn't gonna second it. You wouldn't let me talk.
Oh.
Anyone want to go first? I'm ready to go if you want. We have had the services of Attorney Gary Abraham for, I can't remember the exact date, but it's been probably at least a year or two. And I don't know of any discrepancies that have been brought to my attention regarding his knowledge of the process and his services performed for the town of Rush and the Rush Citizens Group. I find him very compatible to work with. He's a very intelligent guy. He not only has a law degree, but he's got a PhD degree in environmental science. Be honest and straight up guy that I found him to be. And I think because we are transitioning from Article 10 to 94C, it would be of benefit to continue with the same council going into 94C so that we don't skip a beat by someone having to come up to speed or someone not knowing exactly where we've been in the process. I would like to continue our relationship with Gary Abraham. As Deputy Supervisor has mentioned, he has offered free gratis, getting us to the point of party status. And from that point on, if we get awarded intervener funding, it will again be without taxpayer expense, which is the right thing to do in my opinion. Anyone else?
I'll comment in that I have no issues with his services or what the group has been trying to do. But like we discussed, overall, the board should take both sides of the coin and look at the potential of economic impact that we're missing out on. Which spent the last 2 years, given another business trying to come in to do, what they essentially are in the business to do and generate solar energy and all the preliminary workshops and presentations have shown how ecologically friendly they're going to try to be and, et cetera. And it seems like the board has continuously, put up the roadblock and fought this tooth and nail and continues to want to go down that path versus no discussion about opting in for the pilot program and getting the taxes that are going to benefit. And, you look around at surrounding communities that have had this happen and, they allow a casino to come in and they build them a new town hall and they give them a new courthouse. And, there's a lot of potential there that I don't know, it's ever been weighed since I've been here and even discussed, like, how can we benefit rather than, always putting the kibosh on things. So that's my standpoint. Again, I have no issues with his services and his expertise and his knowledge. But as you know, going from the Article 10 to the 94C is going to be a little bit easier of an avenue for the solar project, continuing with the governor's Hochul's mandates of renewable energy for the state. And, yes, public comments, I know, yes, Rush has done its share for allowing other solar companies to come in, but more for the individual smaller scale farms. This is a large scale farm, yes, but it's also something where if you get into community sharing projects and you're getting energy from that, it could benefit the town threefold in a lot of different areas that haven't been discussed. So that's just my take.
And I agree with Brian on the fact that this town continuously fighting with the project is not giving us any type of relationship that we could have a successful conversation. I also I will not agree with Ryan in the attorney's performance. The continued discouragement of entering conversation or even thinking about entering into agreements that would help the town mitigate some of its expenses. I don't believe that is in the best interest of the town. So the continued suggestion that we wait to have a conversation while we continue to antagonize, for lack of a better word, the company that's trying to give benefit to the community and to the state at large, following what, like Ryan said, the state's initiative, starting with Governor Cuomo 4 years ago, and now Governor Hochul is even more adamant that Governor Cuomo was on making sure that we are meeting our carbon neutral goals. So I think that to continuously antagonize a company with when you've already spent, I don't know how much of the intervener funds to submit all of this paperwork that is being transferred over to the 94C process. The hearing officers in 94C are going to have that information. I would certainly hope they would look at it. So to continue down that path to submit the same information over and over again, I don't know how that is beneficial.
Councilwoman Whittingham, I don't believe we heard the same thing. When they transferred to 94C, nothing had been litigated, nothing had gone to that phase yet. So
do you know that the paperwork that has been submitted will not go to the Helios?
That is what I heard Attorney Abraham say.
But
yes, can I just finish?
Was he sure of that?
Yes, he was. In regards to the word you used, antagonize, that is just a very poorly selected words.
And I said, for lack of a better
A-
word.
a- And for lack of a better word, in this whole process of Horseshoe Solar that we have been going through since 2019, the town adopted a local solar law that allows for 150 acres. We've had a mathematician do the math that we as a town, to say that we are not doing our part is incorrect. The amount of solar that the town of Rush of 150 acres will generate far exceeds any other areas of a town our size. So we are doing our part. We are for renewable energy. We are supporting the 5 megawatt facilities to support for our local farming institutions and residents to be able to have those on their properties if this board moves through that process. But Horseshoe Solar is a different entity. We as a town cannot sit down and say, well, yeah, no, the state will say that. So in order for us at this point, because Article 10 is out the window, 94C, to be able to have Attorney Abraham at least start the paperwork, get it into the state for consideration for party status. That allows us as a board to then say, okay, at some point, we can decide to continue, or we can decide not to, or somewhere in between. There is a huge archaeological and cultural resource area over on Gola Road. There's no doubt that the Senecas are very concerned about it, and it is part of our current comprehensive plan that we protect our cultural resources. In fact, while I was reviewing the comprehensive plan back in 2019, that's where I found out about Gola. It says it's actually on the National Historic Comprehensive Plan. People should double check that for me, but there are over 70 properties over there. So am I saying yes, no? I'm saying that Attorney Abraham presented an option for us at no cost to be able to be part of the process. If we are not discouraging solar. We are not discouraging development, not by any stretch of the imagination. We are not being antagonists to Invenergy, a Chicago-based company. We are looking out for our local solar law and saying we have a local solar law. We have people that voted for it and supported it. And so there's a lot of balls in the air, but the only thing that is moving forward at this point is to attempt to be able to be applied for party status at no cost to the town, no risk. And in the long run, might work out, it might not work out.
That is the part that really resonates with me, and that is what we'd like to do is prepare for the unknown, because there is an unknown somewhere out there. If we don't prepare for the unknown, we'll never be able to face it. And that's what party status gives us, the ability to deal with and face the unknown. And that's why I would like to vote for continuing our relationship with Gary Abraham, the attorney, and see where that takes us in the future. 94C is, there's no experts about it. Even the administrators of it. Look at, when did I write the lawyer to the Dax, or write the letter to the Dax law firm? That was 6-8 weeks ago, maybe even more. They haven't responded. Why do they not respond? I don't know. I think that they're trying to deal with the unknowns of 94C like everyone else is.
I didn't know you sent a letter.
I think I made everyone aware.
We didn't respond because we're represented by council. They're not gonna talk to us.
Well, he talked to me. That
Anyways.
can't be true because he talked to me and told me what he wanted, and I sent a letter back to him and told him what we wanted.
Without the attorney? Our attorney?
I'm a reincarnated attorney.
Okay.
Just ask
I
John.
just wondered, I mean, you know,
No,
that's one billable hour left that we have to get back from Abraham then.
I did,
Mhm.
I did consult with Attorney Abraham,
Oh, okay.
wrote the letter, and I've not received a
There's the part
response.
you consult Eric. Good now. I feel better.
I'm glad you do. So, do we want to have a resolution?
I made the resolution and you seconded.
We've got seconds on the
Mhm.
resolution,
Mhm.
and do we want to call a vote?
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Ryan,
Nay.
Councilwoman Wickerham,
Nay.
Councilman Wilbur,
Aye.
Supervisor Creasy.
Aye. All right, so be it. Can we now move into the public comment period? Remember, this public comment period is where you can ask a question of any board member. You will get a response. It may be a difficult question that requires a day or two for a response, but you can ask a question, make a comment, pretty much freelance, whatever you'd like to speak about. And all I ask is that you are courteous to other people in the room who can hear you and courteous to the people you are directing your questions at. I will monitor each question asker for 3 minutes. If you're still exploring new territory, you can go a little over the 3 minutes, but if you become redundant, I will ask you to stop. So, who in the room of residents would like to ask a question?
We've got them lined up in Zoom. We
Yeah.
always give the room first chance. Thank you. All right, Carl Ost, you were first on the chat. If you would unmute yourself, turn your video and microphone on, state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Carl Ost, 100 Woodruff Road. I would like to ask, my comments as far as the Helios project, I sent an email to Don Sweet for the planning board and copied the town board in on that. I did get these are issues that I have with the Helios materials. As it was being presented last meeting, I was looking through the materials and found quite a few things that were red flags for me. As a professional engineer, I just am still at a loss of how. I've worked with many developers, some of the good ones and some not so good. And Helios just is not addressing comments, and yet we're bending over backwards to accommodate. And I don't understand why. The materials that he has presented, both from the engineer, were not even close to the same caliber as what was submitted for Forefront. And why that wasn't just used as a template, and why the planning board didn't say, use Forefront as a template, this is what we want to see. But instead we got very poor drawings, and it's just prolonged the process. A good planning board would have said, you're not addressing the comments we made, go back to the drawing board and address the comments. Instead, they wasted 2 hours of a planning board meeting workshopping with him, going back and forth. And it was just a waste of town resources. So there are, I'm making these comments as a protection to the town, but I did not get, the line of sight drawings do not line up with what, one of the things that they're looking at is a view from the north, from the property to the north, which is actually from Woodruff Road, you can see all the way through. That line of sight is not properly addressed, not only on a drawing for profile, but it's not addressed in the simulation, the photo simulation. The boring logs, if you look at them, they started to do a boring where it was flagged, and they could not do the boring where the flag was. They had to move. To me, that's an issue, but no one has commented on that. So it's just very questionable character as far as the Helios presentation. The engineer does not appear to be skilled at putting together the right drawings, the right information. And I did get a response from Don Sweet saying, thank you for your review of the Helios project. I appreciate your concerns, and we will take your concerns under advisement. So he did not say specifically, we will look at this, look at that. And I'm very concerned with this Helios project. I don't know if the town engineer has, seen these comments and has a similar opinion, but I'd like to know, is someone going to be taking these comments seriously and for the protection of the town?
Would you like a response, Carl?
I would.
The reason our town engineer is not here is because he's out of town on business. And I'm going to guess that he has not had the opportunity to read and digest the submittals, most recent submittals from Helios. As you heard maybe earlier in the meeting, I plan to get with Joe Hens, Todd Yule, the engineer, and make sure that they are talking between them, because from day one, I'd wondered, are they talking to each other? Because I hear from this person that they aren't giving them what they need, and I hear from this person, we give them everything plus more. So I want to go back once more and tell them, talk to each other.
All right, it's a process that I've seen that I question the integrity of the engineer and the developer. So to protect the town, we just need to be clear as far as what we're accepting, and I believe that project is finally of scale and siting that it should have been originally. And I've always believed these community solar projects along 390 is a good idea. It's but I just, not getting a response from that I would just like to hear, either, stop making comments and go away, or, we will address this comment, this comment, this comment, in our review with the town engineer. So a little bit more specificity on responses, I guess, is what I would request. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Anyone in residence here?
Supervisor Catherine Hankins would like to speak.
Mrs. Hankins.
Thank you. First, in terms of the electric vehicles, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so the electric vehicles, when we did the review for the Dorsal project, which is 251 and 15A, it was over 19,000 people coming through that intersection and coming through there every single day. And many of them, if you try to get out of through the town at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think having the electric charging stations there will be very well used. And, I think and in the future, that'll be a very much used. So I'm very pleased with that. I did sit in on a planning board meeting when Helios was being presented. And I do get concerns that our law is very, very clear in terms of not impacting the neighbors, the folks who would see this solar farm. It's very explicit language. And they had very serious concerns that they could not meet that language. So I don't know what's happened since that time to make sure that those site distances are really, that we're really protecting the residents there. So that is a concern, and I think we really need to be informed on that. But my most serious issue is the Jack Moore project. I was so surprised last time that I felt like I hadn't been coming to all these meetings. I felt, where did I miss? But if there's 130 people, -6, if that's the case, but that's a significant number of people who are directly impacted. I did not speak at the public hearing because I thought that the town board was looking for the people that were directly impacted. But those people, they can't even go to the town website or the eco to see what is the environmental assessment impact they have. There's nothing on there. There's no application. I can't find anything to really, really describe it other than a map. So when I heard that there's already been a transportation study, that there's already been, it seems like we're way down the road. And I, as one resident, would like to catch up with everything and see what's going on here. And then I hear that there's that there's already responses to an EAF that I haven't seen. This should all be in the public meetings. This should all be discussed in one. I've gone through other ones. Dorshall took quite a long time, and residents were directly involved. And to have a transportation study that's never even been discussed at the town board meeting. So I'm very concerned about that. I think we should just be more open and transparent in this project so that people are directly connected to it and understand what these reports are. So that's my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let me see if there's anyone else, Supervisor. Catherine. Carol Barnett, did you want to say something or you just wrote a comment?
I do not want to say anything.
Okay, thank you. Then I believe Supervisor,
What was
unless
the
I
comment?
missed someone.
What was the comment?
What's that?
She wrote a comment,
I didn't know if she wanted to
but you
say
said,
anything.
you asked her if she wanted to say anything or you just wrote the comment. Did she write a comment?
She wrote something that I haven't read. It was very long. So it's in the chat feature and I didn't know if she wanted to say that. I didn't want to not ask her.
Will that be available to us so we can see what her comment was?
It should be in the chat feature.
I don't have.
It's in the, what is that called?
Screen
Town clerk. No, that's in Zoom. You can print out the chat
Okay.
feature.
Can I do that after the fact?
Yes. Before we close off, I'll make sure that the town clerk and I have that for you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak? Going once. Going twice. Want to
We're
give the Zoomers a
Nope.
second chance?
There's nobody there, sir.
Then I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
You can do that.
The employment history of a particular person.
Yes. Do I have a
I
second?
will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna go in the other room to do that.
Yeah,
I think if we have no one here, we can sit
All
here.
right, okay.
People can hear in the foyer, Supervisor, so I
Oh,
don't
think
feel
they're
comfortable.
all leaving, but
No, last time there were people out there that we didn't realize were there.
They stayed?
Yeah, they did. Evidenced by cars in the parking lot that people quickly ran out.
They were having a happy hour.
We have a
Okay,
happy hour.
All right.
All right, so we're going in the other room. Okay.
I think camera is still showing.
So I'm gonna give you back to host. Counselor. Town clerk, you are now host. So you should be able to just pause it, right? Yeah, that, you don't want it recording the whole time. There you go. Perfect. Recording pause. There you go. And then you can click that again to start recording when we come in.
All right.
Close it out. You don't have to put everybody in. Right. Didn't that work better?
That went
Having
way
those.
better.
Thank you.
I don't even remember. I'm like, how do we do this?
Awesome. I'll leave the meeting there because you paused it.
You still collecting these?
Yes, sir. Shelly will have my head if I don't get them back.
They're very helpful, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Playing video games?
No, I'm writing the minutes.
Oh, sorry, baby.
Hi, baby. Aw, you look tired.
Well.
This is my third night here, by the way, in a row.
All right. Go, we got, oh, there it is. Go for it, Brian.
I make a motion to end our executive session, return into our normally scheduled town board meeting on
9:46 PM.
at 9:46 PM.
I'll second it.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. And having no further business to conduct, I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Gotta find my key.
Good night, anybody that's still left on Zoom.
11 people.
You are kidding.
No.
Go home, people.
Carl gave us a thumbs up.
Go